Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Well, as you can tell by the background, I am not in the truck. Actually, I'm on a little mini vacation. And usually when I do a little mini vacation, I don't do YouTube. But in this particular situation, we're going to talk about trucking as well as the hands that I went over last night when I was at MGM. Now, we're going to start off with that. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Seat one was just on a total tear last night. Like, it was just unbelievable how lucky that this guy was and managed to stack very well. Me, on the other hand, I sat down at the table. The table just started. We had a bond pot. $10 was in the pot, say about $70 altogether because it was 7 of us. We get to see 2 boards before betting, right? So the first board, I flopped a straight. Second board, I got nothing on it. Check, check, check. It checks to me, so I figured that I already got the first board locked up. Now, let me preface that there was 2 clubs on the board, right? So I made it $75. It was 70 in the pot, so I betted the pot pretty much. 75, 70, fold until it came around to seat 1. He looked at it again, looked at it again. He calls. Okay, cool. He probably got something on the bottom because I'm sure he didn't have anything on the top, at least not for $75 anyway. So the next guy, he fumbles. Okay, he calls too. All right, cool. 3 of us to the flop, about $200 in the pot. Now, we figure about 140, about 200, close to $300 is in the pot. So it's about, it was about that. All right, turn comes the devastating club. So, of course, I don't have the top locked up anymore. All I just got is a straight. Who's ever sitting on 2 clubs, they got it. They got it if they're sitting on 2 clubs. So I'm like, whatever. All right, but the first one, the first to act guy, he said, fuck it. He went all in. And I'm like, okay. So, of course, I snap calls. And then the guy at seat 1, he calls too. So now it's us all in. It's all in. I call. And then seat 1 still has some money behind, but he couldn't cover it. So the river comes another club for the top and a blank for the bottom. So I know I just lost this pot. But here's the thing. The guy kept talking like, oh, well, what you got? What do you mean what I got? Well, I'm not going to tell you what I got until the cards is all out. You'll see what I got when I turn it over. In order for anybody to win the pot, they have to turn the hand over anyway. So I'm like, you'll see what I got. I'm not much of a talker when it comes to me being at the table, right? So he's over here, blah, 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 blah. And then all said and done, he had a pair on the bottom. And the one guy, it's funny how this game is played. But if he would have folded, I would have had it because, like I said, I flopped it to straight. Unfortunately, he had a queen of clubs in his hand, giving him the top for the flush and giving the guy for the pair on the bottom. So that's what happened.
Disclaimer. This channel is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All third-party video clips, audio, and commentary fall under fair use as outlined in Section 107 of the Copyright Act, in accordance with applicable laws. The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the host and should not be taken as fact or professional advice, and do not necessarily reflect current views or affiliations.
So drivers, a former driver reached out to me and sent me a contract that they was offered. They wanted me to take a look at it and pretty much tell it straight. And after going through it, there's a lot that you guys need to know. And this is why the importance of reading the contract matters. Let's talk about it.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
So guys, you're gonna have to excuse the car. We are about to head back over to MGM and get an early morning session in. Hopefully I can get my money back, because after I got stacked the first time, I went on ahead and brought back in for 200. But like I said, seat one was just on a miracle tear. Like, he was on a sun run that was unbelievable. So with that said, I said there's always tomorrow. I packs up and I leave. So drivers, this is an independent driver transportation contract with a company out of Georgia named TWD Worldwide LLC. Now, I'm not hip to this company. To my understanding, this is a black female run company, and I went to do a little bit of research and I still haven't found much on the internet about this company. I came across something that was on Facebook, but I guess that's where this particular driver found them. This sets you up as a 1099 contract, not as an employee. They pay 30% of the shipments after a 50% fuel split with the truck weekly. But with that situation, you are a week behind. And with that, you pay your own taxes, you pay your own benefits, and you pay your own operating costs. They control the freight that you haul. Let me just stop right there before I continue. Companies that does this type of operating is crazy to me because it don't make no sense, right? How is it possible that you're a 1099 contractor, but you up under employee rules though? Like, if you're a contractor, aren't you supposed to be up under your own rules? Aren't you supposed to set your own boundaries? Aren't you supposed to pick your own lane, your own freight, and stuff like that? See, it makes no sense to me that these companies get away with that type of business model. Well, we're going to have you as a 1099 contractor, but we still going to control everything that you do. Make that make sense to me. They also imposed a long list of fees on you, deductions and liabilities that, to me, again, don't make no sense. The pay is 30% of the load revenue, and after splitting a 50-50 fuel cost with the company. So that means the company would pay half of the fuel and you pay the other half of the fuel. So if you fuel up anywhere between, say, like $500, something like that, $250 of that you have to cover. Again, make that make sense. If you're supposed to be a company driver, why are you covering the fuel? Escrow, that slimy, scammy word, escrow, which is $50 deducted every week until $2,500 is out of your paycheck total. Now, it is paid back to you for whatever reason that if you should quit or get terminated, it takes 60 days to get your money back after you return the equipment. So let's say you quit in October. You won't see your money until January of 2026. That's even if you get your money back at all, because companies like this love to put secret stuff to make that money dwindle. So instead of the full $2,500, you'll get back maybe less than that. And the reasons for that, they'll probably say, well, there's a crack in the windshield. The truck was dirty and they had to pay the cleaning costs. The steer tire blowout. Remember that steer tire blowout that you had on a 35? Yeah, we had to cover that. So 9 times out of 10, they figure out scammy ways and not to give you your escrow back. And I get it when I heard about escrow before, and it's supposed to be a protection for the company if the driver should drop the truck off, abandon the truck, or just tear up the truck or anything of that matter. I get it. But if you're on a good faith basis and bring the truck back cleaned out and everything is good to go, you should get your full escrow back. I don't understand why you wouldn't. Now let's talk about the fees, man. And it's a lot of them. So I'm going to have to look at my little notepad here and run down the list of fees that these people is taking out of your pockets.
Hold on.
Man, I had to stop this video and just admire how it looks right now. The camera that's being used in this video is the Insta360 Go Ultra. They just raised the bar for tiny little action cameras. It packs a bigger 1.8 28-inch sensor, shoots a crisp, clean 4K at 60 frames, and it adds a swappable micro SD card that has storage up to 2 terabytes. And as far as the battery life, well, you get about an hour at 4K recording. But the downside to this, if you like going swimming, I wouldn't suggest you dump the action pod into deep water because it's not waterproof. The camera, yes. Action pod, no. There is no removable battery, and it's also an expensive piece of equipment. I paid $4.99. This is not a sponsored video. I went to B&H, got it from them, and now I'm playing with it, and it looks good. Still, if you want a featherweight camera that mounts just about anywhere, Go Ultra is definitely hard to beat. Listen, I suggest when you pick up this camera, go to Amazon and get a power brick so that you don't have to worry about running out of battery when you're out there having fun. The Insta360 Go Ultra. I suggest you go and pick up this camera today.
All right, so before we get into the fees and everything, I have to stop and tell you guys about the hands of the night before when I was at the poker table. So as I told you guys that I was sitting with a guy that was on a tear, like a dominant tear of the whole table. The problem that I had with him was the way he was actually playing. I get it because I kind of play the same way. Everybody have their own style when it comes to playing poker. But he got mad at me when I actually slow rolled him. I had a higher flush. But the way he was playing just was just pissing me off. And it was taking me out of my zone. So I just wanted to say, if you're at the table and you're just not feeling it, and I know you just want to just tear a hole into that person that you call the villain at the table, I get it, but sometimes you just have to suck it up and maybe go to a different table, or just call it a night like I did. Like I said, that particular hand with the flush over flush, it was check, 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 check. I bet, he calls. Check again, I make another bet, he raise, I over raise, he calls, and he had a flush, and I had a bigger flush. It was just so nerve-wracking that I couldn't do anything with that guy last night. Okay, so let's talk about the fees that this company assesses on you, right? So $150 late fee charge across the board. So for whatever reason, if you're late picking up an order or if you're late delivering an order, you're going to get hit with $150, period. $20 for missing or late paperwork. So if you don't get that paperwork in with a certain amount of time, they're going to hit you with $20. $10 per unclear document if dispatcher has to fix it. Why would you have to fix something, and why would I have to be charged $10 for you doing your job? And if you have paperwork that needs to be verified or documented or clarified, ain't that the dispatcher's job to do? And again, with that said, why would I get penalized for that if the paperwork was your fault in the first place? Think about that. $350 per missed load or refused load. So let's say, for example, they send you a load and you say, that's not a good paying load to me, I don't want that load. You're going to get hit with $350? But am I an independent contractor that can pick my own loads? I'm supposed to be an independent contractor, right? See, that's where this misclassification come into play. So if I choose not to do the load, if I feel that the load is not profitable, you're going to hit me with a $350 fee? That's crazy work right there. Also, you're going to get further deduction costs for tickets, violations, and damages to the truck, if any. As far as the fuel go, they say that you must use their fuel cards. You must use their cards. You must use the stations that they send you to. You also have to upload all the receipts, and if you don't, you're going to risk paying the full fare for that fuel. Let's talk about the equipment responsibility. It's simple. You're responsible for the whole truck, top, bottom, inside, and out. Termination. Now, it says here that they can terminate you for any reason. They can stop operations. They can say, hey, we're done for whatever reason. Because again, it's an at-will company. So yeah, if you're out on the road and they say park their trucks, I guess that's what you're gonna have to do. They can also suspend you for whatever reason, and what they can do, they can give you a 1-day notice. So if you do something wrong or they feel like you did something wrong, they can call you up right then and there and be like, yeah, we're gonna suspend you for a day. Meaning they're not gonna like have you to go home for that suspension. Basically, they're just gonna take your money. Let's talk about that misclassification right there, drivers. You get no workman's comp, you get no benefits, you get no health insurance, you have to do your own payroll taxes. See, this is where you really got to understand what you're getting into. And a lot of you new drivers don't. But see, when you drivers get in a situation that needs companies like this, that's where these companies will get you. Priority confidentiality. I seen that and I just had to laugh. Now let me just say this. I understand social media. It's crazy the amount of people out here that be talking about their company. Don't talk about the company. If you don't have nothing good to say about that company on social media, don't say nothing at all, because they can take that negative aspect of what you're saying about the company and they can let you go. You don't like the company, you're talking bad about the company, but you're still working for us, we're still paying you. We don't feel that is right, so they're gonna let you go. But here, it is very broad with them because it is in the contract. But what they say, they own everything that you say related to their company. And they can restrict anything and everything on what you share with that company. Sounds like a non-disclosure thing to me, but I don't know. You're not going to restrict what I say. If I feel like you doing something bad to me, and a lot of you want to just jump on social media, see, I'm different. Something happens to me bad with the company and all like that, I'm not going to talk about the company while I'm still driving for them. Now, when I leave them, yes. Same thing with driving for a company and you want to share everything about the company that you do.
I never would have thought that I would be getting fired from my job for my social media account. Effective yesterday, I was terminated from my company Central Transport for my social media. About a week ago, my boss called me and said, hey, they're putting you out of service because of your TikTok account. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Well, I just want to share my journey and everything. No, you don't. Share your journey without sharing any information about the company that you drive for. I ain't going to say last but not least, any resolutions has to be done and mediated in Georgia at their friendly company venue. Now, you don't want to do that. At least I don't. And if they bring you back and they have you sit down in the office and they tell you about the different aspects of what's going on, yeah, but if you already dropped the truck off and you're at home and they want you to come back to Georgia, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So next up, drivers, we're going to talk about the pros and cons. But before we get into that, we about to get into this.
Sushi on the beat.
Weezy, Q in the last 95. Yeah.
Sushi.
Ice, waiters in the club. I gotta make it for my bitches in the crowd. Life is like a crazy ride, changing lanes like I'm on the highway. Ice, waiters in the club. I gotta make it for my bitches in the crowd. Life is like a crazy ride, changing lanes like I'm on the highway.
Ngifike solo kule club ungabangena, barenga shit ngami solo ngabatsena. Kwamanzi phansi drip bayikosha phansi, laba sobangena. Ntwana yami sabashisa, style sabaluma, sabangena. Sushi on the beat sabulala.
All right, drivers. So we are over here at Little Caesars Arena right there. And a little bit down the way is Google. I don't know if you can see Google in the corner right there, but yeah, Google is out here. I never knew that. I never knew that Google was out here. So went over to MGM, played for like a couple of hours, and again, just wasn't good out there. So my trip to Detroit so far has been good. I am enjoying myself. When you're not doing good at the tables, you can feel some kind of way. So get back at it, right? All right, driver. So the pros of this company, man, per this contract, which is not good thus far, right? It's not good. And I'm surprised I was able to find pros in the contract. A lot of cons, but very few pros. And let's go over. So clear independent contractor, right? It's clear to the fact that it's a contractor classification, or at least that's what they want you to be. They say that you can pick the routes and the days technically, though it really undermines your control though. It really undermines it. So let's say you pick a day, you pick a route, and then they could just come back and negate all of that. Is that a pro though? I'm going to say that's more of a con than a pro. Another pro is that you get your money straight away, ACH or Zelle. The pay is weekly. That's if they decide to pay it though. You gotta hope for your money with this company. And then the equipment, they provide the truck, they provide the fuel card, they provide some tools. But even though they provide all of that, you're pretty much still responsible. So I honestly don't know if this is a pro though. It's more like cons than it is, but let's get to the cons and the red flags of all of this, right? So the fuel cost, it is confusing. They say it's a 50% fuel split, but they require you to front the compliance and all the receipts. So if you miss a step into all of that, you, driver, is going to eat all of that fuel costs. They got another con, definitely is with all the high deductions, $350 for load fees, $2,500 for the escrow, and they say that you can get it back 60 days after you quit. That's if you ever get it back at all. And they pretty much nickel and dime you in your check though. Control versus 1099, right? That's another con because they say that you're an independent contractor, but they dictate your fuel stops, dispatching, your paperwork, all of the reporting, personal conduct. They dictate that too. See, all of this, to me, drivers, is misclassification. So there's Google right there. I don't know if that's like a substation or something like that, because I thought Google, the corporate office, was out of California. At least I thought so. But here it is right here in good old Detroit, Michigan. Another con, driver, is broad liability, right? See, basically, if you look at it, you're pretty much responsible for almost everything. We talking about tickets, damages, load delays, negligence. You're responsible for all of that. Another con is an easy termination. They can end your work immediately for subjective reasons. Misconduct, right? Unsatisfactory verification, right? They could pretty much get rid of you at a drop of a dime. No guaranteed loads or floor pay. They explicitly say no minimum assignments in all of this, drivers. And if you want to dispute all of this, they want to have you come all the way to Georgia to dispute it. Oh, damn, I'm right on the track, too.
Hold on.
Enjoying what you're hearing? Ready for unfiltered trucking talk that tells it like it is? The Trucking Commentary Podcast with Lockout Men delivers authentic reactions and engaging conversations about the latest trucking content from across YouTube and TikTok. Help us reach more drivers like you. Hit that like button and leave a comment to boost our visibility in YouTube's algorithm. Your support helps us deliver more of the no-nonsense trucking commentary you've come to like from Lockout Men.
So drivers, why this contract with this company is risky, right? Going over everything, it just sounds like a company that a driver of my status wouldn't even be interested in, let alone sign off on this type of deal.
Take the next right onto Woodward Avenue.
See, this deal right here shifts nearly every risk, every cost onto you, driver, but for them, it keeps everything in the palm of their hands. See, they call you an independent driver, but they dictates the fuel, dispatch, paperwork, and even discipline you with a whole heap of fines out here. They hold your money with the escrow, with the 1 week in the hole. It just don't make no kind of sense that they do that. Ooh, hello. This contract right here makes it way easy for this company to just walk away with your money without any disputes. See, with their pay structure, it is really unclear and unfortunately could leave you with little or next to nothing when it comes to your money. So drivers, if you're looking for a steady pay and fair risk, this contract right here with this company is pretty much stacked against you. And the only reason drivers that will probably be interested in a situation like this are drivers that are...
Head northwest, then make a U-turn.
All right, this company is basically for, I hate to say this, but it's basically for SAP drivers. It's basically for drivers that have really bad records and they have nowhere else to go. Unfortunately, I don't like that for you guys because you guys out here really is trying to look for a good second chance company. And what this company is pretty much doing with this contract is really taking advantage of you, and that's not a good thing. It really isn't. The only thing that you guys should be looking to, if you really want a second chance company that's really going to help you guys out, you got to do. You got to find a second chance company that's really going to help you out in your situation and not take advantage of it. This type of company and this type of contract is not good for you, driver. And it's just my opinion. You grown people out there, y'all do what y'all want to do. But if it was me, I wouldn't sign off on this contract. So in summary, drivers, when you looking into companies like TWD Worldwide LLC, you guys might want to beware of that company, right? Because to break it down, the type of deal, independent contractor, 1099, you're not an employee, 30% of the load after splitting 50-50 split on the fuel. And that's crazy right there. And don't forget about the escrow, $50 a week. After they done with it, it'd be like $2,500 and you only get it back 60 days after 60 days after you return the truck. So with this contract, drivers, you take all the risks, you take all the falls. Everything that happens to you in the truck is your responsibility. It is your situation. It's your fault for whatever little bit of things that happens to you in that truck. So they'll hold your money, they'll pile on the fees, and then they can just drop you just like that. So just be fair warned. If you ever come across a company like TWD Worldwide LLC out of Georgia, you just might want to be careful and probably look elsewhere. That is it. Until next time, drivers. I like that.
That's my take on this contract. If the company holds your money, controls your moves, and dumps the risk on you, walk. Have you ever signed something like this and regretted it? What fee or clause burned you the most? Drop it in the comments. Share this with a driver who's about to sign papers. Your comment helps other drivers see this. I want to hear from you. Send your story. lockoutmenpodcastguest@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. This is Underrated and Overworked Podcast.